Good morning, boys and girls. Today is Tuesday and we are in lesson 27. Today is September 29th, and students will be able to identify the structure of the poem My Sky and Love That Dog. So just a friendly reminder, you should have your book in front of you, Love That Dog. Make sure you go to page 68, which is May 14, and that's what we're going to go ahead and reread. Remember, good readers always go back and reread text, the selection or the section needed. So the structure of a poem, what we're going to do, we're going to identify the structure of the poem. For example, the lines, the stanzas, the line breaks, the rhyme, the type of poem. And type of poems, boys and girls, the four of them that we see in 4th grade and the ones you are going to see in your star is narrative. Is it telling a story? Is it lyrical? Does it sound like a song? Is it expressing feelings? Is it humorous? Did we laugh out loud? Or is it a free verse? That means that there was no rhythm or rhyme. How are we going to do that? We have to number the lines. We have to number the stanzas and the line breaks. We read the poem once and we see, okay, this type of sensory language or imagery made in my head paint a picture of Jack was jumping up and down or whatever he was doing. Then we have to read the poem again and we have to do our hashtags, or we can draw a picture. And once we read the third poem, we get to decide what type of poem it is. So that's why we are reading the poem again. Now, boys and girls, why is it important to understand the reason or the structure of a poem? Well, it's important to understand the reason or the reason why the speaker or the poet wrote the poem, because we need to identify the similes, alliteration, onomatopoeia, any word repetition. It's very, very important to understand why the speaker sat down and wrote a poem. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to page 68, and that is May 14. You have 15 seconds to get there. 10 seconds. So remember, it says May 14. My digital version is a little bit different than yours, but that's okay. And let's start reading. May 14. I typed this up myself. My Sky. That is the title of his poem. We were outside in the street, me and some other kids, kicking the ball before dinner, and Sky was chasing his feet going every which way, and his tail wagging, and his mouth slobbering, and he was all over the place. Boys and girls, I see that my finger fits here, so this is one stanza. Now here Jack is describing what he was doing, right? So he was outside, we can see him running around, he was playing with some other kids, and Sky was chasing his tail. We can see literally Sky in our head. If we close our eyes, Sky was chasing his tail, right? And look, the speaker or the poet repeated the word chasing. Why? They're trying to make a point or emphasize that the dog was chasing his tail. So probably it was going around in circles. And then it was wagging. That means the speaker's trying to make a point that the dog is doing what? He's wagging his tail. He's very, very excited, right? You know when you come home and your dog was wagging his tail? They're very, very excited. How about slobbering? Why did the speaker do that? He's trying to make a point, right? Or emphasize that because Sky was so excited, he was slobbering. You know when they get very, very hot? And your dog starts slobbering, maybe they've been jumping around because they got excited that you got home. So yes, that's a reason. Let's go to stanza 2. Smiling and wagging and slobbering and making us laugh. And my dad came walking up the street, and he was down there near the end. I could see him after he got off the bus, after he was walking, and I saw him wave, and he called out, "Hey there, son." And so I didn't see the car coming from the other way until someone else, one of the big kids, called out, "Car!" And I turned around and I saw a blue car splattered with mud speeding down the road. Okay, boys and girls, before we move on, what was repeated in this stanza? The walking, right? So the speaker's trying to emphasize what happened there. Who was walking? Jack's dad, right? So I can literally see Jack's dad getting off the bus, and of course Sky got very excited and he was wagging his tail, and the dad was walking, and he got distracted because the dad said, "Hey there, son." So he turned around, and then one of the big kids shouted, "Car!" But look what it says. Blue car, splatter with mud, speeding down the road. So what happened? What can you see is happening next? You can literally see the blue car coming, right? And it's dirty, it's splattered with mud, and it's speeding down the road. Good. Let's go to the next stanza. And I saw Sky going after the ball, wagging his tail, and I called him, Sky, Sky! And he turned his head, but it was too late, because the blue car, splattered with mud, hit Sky. Thud, 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 and kept on going, such a hurry, so fast, so many miles to go, it couldn't even stop, and Sky was just there, in the road, lying on his side, with his legs bent funny, and his side heaving. And he looked up at me, and I said, Sky, Sky, Sky! And then my dad was there, and he lifted Sky out of the road and laid him on the grass. And Sky closed his eyes, and he never opened them again, ever. So, boys and girls, what other words did he repeat? Wagging, right? So he keeps talking about the blue car, splattered with mud, speeding down the road, and how Sky was wagging his tail. So I can literally close my eyes and see the yellow dog wagging his tail. And then, did the car stop, boys and girls? No, right? The blue car, splattered with mud, did not stop. He had so many miles to go. So why does he say this? So many miles to go. Because usually when you're in a car and you're in a hurry, right, you have no time to stop. Maybe in the morning when you get dropped off to school or wherever you go and your parents are in a hurry and you say, well, can we stop here? And they say, nope, no time. We got to go. That's why he said that. So many miles to go. That means that the person had somewhere to go in such a hurry that they didn't even care to stop. Now, thud, thud, thud. Boys and girls, what is that an example of? Remember, it's the words that make a sound. It's onomatopoeia, so great job if you said onomatopoeia. Yeah, so the speaker, the author, the speaker or the poet is trying to illustrate in my head. That means give me an image. So imagery, he's using sensory language, that I can see that Sky probably, he hit him so hard because he was going so fast. I could almost see Sky going up in the air and then falling to the side of the road. And can Sky move, boys and girls? No, right? Remember, he was lying on his side with his legs bent funny. Then what happened? Who came? His dad, right? And what did he do to Sky? He lifted Sky and he put him on the grass. And what happened next? Sky died, right? So he closed his eyes and he never opened them again. So he didn't say literally Sky died, right? Look what the speaker used. Sky closed his eyes and he never opened them again, ever. So boys and girls, we could infer that what happened to Sky? He died, right? The car was going so fast. Of course, he couldn't survive that. It was such a great hit. It was so fast. Okay. One last time, the third time. Remember, we read our poems 3 times. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to, as the author, as the speaker is using sensory language or imagery, I want to see what you can see in your head. Okay, because today we're going to do the Monday, the daily comprehension, and that one's all about sensory details. My Sky. We were outside in the street, me and some other kids, kicking the ball before dinner, and Sky was chasing with his feet going every which way and his tail wagging, and his mouth slobbering, and he was all over the place, smiling, wagging, and slobbering, and making us laugh, and my dad came walking up the street. He was way down there near the end. I could see him after he got off the bus, and he was walking, and I saw him wave, and he called out, "Hey there, son!" And so I didn't see the car coming from the other way until someone else, one of the big kids, called out, "Car!" And I turned around and I saw a blue car, splattered with mud, speeding down the road. And I saw Sky going after the ball, wagging his tail. And I called him, "Sky, Sky!" And he turned his head, but it was too late, because the blue car, splattered with mud, hit Sky. Thud, 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 and kept on going in such a hurry, so fast, so many miles to go, it couldn't even stop, and Sky was just there in the road, lying on his side, with his legs bent funny, and his side heaving, and he looked up at me, and I said, "Sky, Sky, Sky!" And then my dad was there, and he lifted Sky out of the road. and laid him on the grass. And Sky closed his eyes, and he never opened them again, ever. So boys and girls, what happened? We read it a third time. What did you see in your head? So you are going to have time to illustrate this in class. Before you can paint a picture or an illustration, I want you to get your composition book out, and I want you to put your name, date, and go. And I want you to label it My Sky, because we're going to go to page 68, which is May 14, and we're going to label our lines, our stanzas, our line breaks, and our type of poem. So boys and girls, how many lines are in My Sky? So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to count how many lines are in My Sky. Remember, every single line counts. I'll give you a clue. There's more than 50. Make sure you count correctly. "15 seconds. If you already know how many lines there is, make sure you write it in your paper. 10 seconds. And time is up. So boys and girls, how many lines did you count in total? Great job if you said 85. So I want you to write structure of a poem, and we're going to write here lines, 85. Now, how many stanzas are there? Remember, stanzas look like little paragraphs. So there's one on page 68. There's another one in 69. You flip the page. Another one in 70. So great job if you said there's 4 stanzas. So if there's 4 stanzas, how many line breaks are there in total? So there's 4 stanzas. There's always one less line break because remember, we don't count the last one. So how many line breaks are there? 3. So good job if you said 3. Now, what type of poem is this? I know it does not sound like a song, and there is some rhythm and rhyme because some words he even repeated them. So what type of poem is this? Is it humorous? It didn't make us laugh, or is it a narrative? Is it telling us a story? So great job if you said it's telling us a story. That means it's a narrative. It has characters. It has a problem. So boys and girls, who were my main characters in My Sky? We had Jack. Who else? Sky, of course, and his dad, and then his friends, right? What was the problem in My Sky? That a blue car splattered with mud speeding down the road hit or ran over Sky, right? Now, what happened? Of course, we know that Sky passed away. Now, Jack's poem reveals what? So remember, anything I write here, you will be writing. What does this poem tell us about Jack? So I'm going to give you 30 seconds of thinking time. Yes, I want you to write the question. What does it tell us about Jack? What does it reveal? What can we infer based on the poem My Sky? Last 10 seconds. What does this poem reveal about Jack? So it reveals that he really cared about Sky, right? He tried to save his poor dog. Remember when he said, Sky? And of course, Sky was chasing his tail, or the tail, and it didn't see the car. So we can tell that Jack really loved his dog, right? Next question. What elements of poetry help to make Jack's poem so powerful? Boys and girls, he used several elements of poetry. I know that he used what? He used repetition, right? And remember, repetition is to, what is the poet trying to do? The poet's trying to make a point or emphasize his point, right? What else did he use? Remember, thud, thud, thud. What is that called? Onomatopoeia. Great job. Make sure you're writing this down. What else? Remember the 5 senses. What are this called? Sensory language or imagery. Good job. Make sure you're writing this down. I'm going to go ahead and give you the last minute. Make sure you're writing everything I write. You write. If you're finished copying everything that Mrs. Alvarado has in her PowerPoint, then you may take out your daily comprehension for Monday. You have 45 seconds if you're still copying. Remember, if you're doing this by yourself, you can always just pause the video. If you're in the live session with me, then you can always go back and watch the recorded video. Last 10 seconds. Alrighty, let's move on to our daily comprehension Monday. Alrighty, boys and girls, so you should have this daily comprehension in front of you. So Monday, because we're talking about imagery or sensory language. Okay, so think about it. We're talking about the poem My Sky, written by Jack, and it talks about how he was outside, they were playing around with other kids. Then his dad called him. He turned around for a second. Sky didn't see the car and he didn't see the car. And then the blue car splattered with mud, speeding down the road, ran over his dog Sky. And then he went thud, thud, thud. And we know that Sky closed his eyes and he never opened them again. So we can tell that Sky passed away or he died. Boys and girls, if you were there, if you were Jack, what can Jack see? So I'm going to give you 30 seconds of thinking time. Based on the poem, My Sky, page 68, what can you see? What can Jack see? So I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Starts now. "15 seconds. Great job to everybody who's going back and rereading the poem. Alrighty, boys and girls, so what can Jack see? So he can see the kids, right? Because he was playing outside. What else can he see? Of course, he can see Sky. What else? His dad when he calls him. Good. What else? He can see the blue car splatter with mud. What else? And then he sees the car speeding away, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and write that in the first one. So we're going to write down Jack can see the kids playing ball. He can see Sky, his dad, the blue car splatter with mud, speeding down the road. He can literally see that. So if you were there with Jack, this is everything that Jack can see. What about for hearing? What can he hear, boys and girls? When you're playing outside, can you hear the other kids playing around? Yes, right? So can we write that? He can hear them? Yes. What else? Who called him? His dad, right? So he can hear who? His dad. What else? He can hear the thud, thud, thud. Remember, because they ran over Sky. So let's go ahead and write that. It's okay if you're not finished with the first one. And Jack can hear the kids. The ball, you know when you're playing with the ball, you can hear the sound. He can hear Sky, his dad, and then he can hear the blue car. What about for smell, boys and girls? What can he smell? So as a good reader, I'm going to give you another minute to go back, make sure that you're reading that. Great job to everybody that's going back and rereading. You have 45 seconds. What can he smell? Remember, look at stanza 1. And we can infer that the time of day was probably in the evening because he says a very important word there. 30 seconds. Last 10 seconds. And time is up. Boys and girls, what does it say in stanza 1? We were outside in the street, me and some other kids, kicking the ball before dinner. So boys and girls, what can he smell? He can probably smell the food, right? What else can he smell if he's outside? When you're outside, what does it smell like? It smells like grass, right? So let's go ahead and write that down. So Jack can smell the food and the grass. Great job. Now, if I'm missing something, please let me know in life, because you know I'm not perfect and my brain tends to go fast, 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 fast. And my fingers can't keep up, 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 up. So I tend to skip some things. So I'm going to give you the last minute to go ahead and copy this. If you're done copying, you may log off. We are going to work on the taste, touch, and the feelings in class. You have 30 seconds to copy. Ten seconds. And time is up. Alrighty, boys and girls, I will see everybody in the live class.